Here I'm just pulling out onto our national highway, as grand as it is. They're actually widening this roadway a lot on either side, extending it sometimes between sometimes about 4 foot, if that's all that they can steal, and then maybe 6 to 8 feet if the space is there to take. You'll probably see some of that later. They're in the process of doing it now. So there's always, constantly, there are roadworks going on all the time. Just accept that that's the way that it is. There's a cat just used up one of its 9 lives. What I wanted to do was go over some of the comments that we get, and try to make you understand that we're in the Philippines, and the Philippines it's so different as to be like another planet. You know, in fact, I always say same planet, different worlds. And what's some of the the one that sorry, I'm not laughing at the subscriber, but just at how different people's viewpoint is, and that is a lady said that she said, I feel sorry for Terence. At his age, he shouldn't have to deal with all of this. He should be able to enjoy his retirement. Oh gosh. I guess that really tells us a lot about what that lady's idea of retirement is. You know, a good word of advice came from someone who was the least spiritual person, as spiritual as a McDonald's hamburger. But my feeling has always been that, in a way, no matter how dumb, no matter how stupid, no matter how ignorant, or shall I say unspiritual, someone who seems to be devoid of real emotional quality, they'll still have an important message that if you're listening, if you're paying attention, you'll hear it and you'll gain. Now, one of the people that I worked for, a band leader that I worked for in the UK, I worked for a lot of band leaders in the UK, and the one that I worked for, I counted him as being able to let his band have fun. So he had quite a good sense of humor, but as I say, I wouldn't count him as being a spiritual person. But one of the things that he used to say that I picked up on and thought, you know, that's a good piece of advice. He said, you should just do it. You'll be a long time dead. And isn't that true? We'll be a long time dead. It's not a case of whether you believe in reincarnation or not, but for this little merry-go-round that we're on right now, for me, this particular face is one time only, and you'll be a long time dead. So for this lady who wants me to have a wheelchair, or not a wheelchair necessarily, but say a rocking chair, what would I do with that? You know, I went to the UK to see my youngest son, and when I was there, he was trying to encourage me, why don't you come and live back in the UK? He said, if you came back and lived in the UK, he said, literally, he said, all that you would do is you would go with your suitcase and present yourself at the council offices and say, I'm homeless. And they would, he said, they may not find you an apartment straight away, but you would immediately go on an emergency list and they would find you an apartment, and they would give you quite a big grant in order to furnish it. And then if the weather got too cold, well, they would give you a heating allowance, all kinds of stuff that they would give me. And I thought about that, not very favourably. It's not my scene. And then we were on the subway, the underground as they call it in England. We were on the underground, and it was a busy time, and all the seats were taken, and a lot of people, including my son and I, were standing. My son's an adult, by the way. So I'm standing there, and the man that is opposite me, much younger, a younger man even than my son, said to me, you can have my seat if you want to. And I'm not used to that. I'm not used to people treating me like I'm some old fart, you know, even though I am an old fart. And I said, arrogantly, I said, no, it's okay. I'm stronger than I look. And that kind of put the full stop, the period, on any thought that I may have had of bringing Beth and myself back to the UK, because it would have meant that I wouldn't have a life anymore. Right now, in answer to that lady's suggestion that I should be pitied, she said she was sorry for me. And I responded and I said, no, your pity is not needed, because I have a great life. What would I do with a rocking chair and an uneventful life? I would be bored to death. Right now I have a great life. We have fun. We help to bring change to people who might otherwise have no hope of having change. Another subscriber was quick in saying that, why do you live in such poor conditions? I had to reply, there's nothing poor about our life or our life and living. There's nothing poor about it. We're not poor. We're rich beyond our dreams anyway. So it's a matter of who is the judge. And the fact is that it is a matter of each to his own. And what works for me may not work for you. In fact, Beth and I often say that what we do, even though many people write to us and say how much they admire what we do, it's not for everyone. The man who says, why do you live in such poor conditions? I didn't know we were living in poor conditions. Our haters would tell you that we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool and we live in a fabulous mountain mansion, which of course that's not true either. Right now we live comfortably enough. We live in what set out as our office, quite a large room, about 20 or 25 by 25, has its own bathroom, and I'm in the process of going to Taliban now to buy some materials so that I can build a kitchen. It won't be a stainless steel kitchen, which probably would be what would have to please this gentleman who is saying we live in poor conditions. He was very nice. He said, what you do for others amazes me, but why do you live in such poor conditions? And of course, what can I tell you? It's each for his own. we live, we think, quite comfortably. When we said that we were going to build a house for Nanai a little while ago, she told us the kind of house that she wanted. We wanted to build her a house that was made of cement block with a nice roof and rendered on the inside and all of that. Well, that's what we wanted to do for her. No, she didn't want that. She wanted one of the houses that we built for everybody else. We built it a little bit larger for her, but we built it 5 courses of hollow block, and 5 courses of hollow block brings you up to about waist level, and then from there it's a wooden framework with a makon, which is the bamboo weave, which allows the house to breathe. Now, in among that, I thought, well, whatever happens, that large room we're going to make into an American style family room. And I had big ideas of making an open plan kitchen come family room, where it would have a counter where when people were cooking, you could go and you could sit on a tall stool and chat at the same time. And there'd be couches and a TV and all of that, like a fairly large American style room. Now, the first thing Nanai did when she was able to move in was she strung a washing line across the center of the large room. And she hung all the clean laundry on it. So when you went into this grand living room, there was a laundry line in there with all of everybody's laundry hanging on it. And then where I was going to, oops, somebody crawling under a truck, where I was going to make a nice kitchen with cabinets and worktops and all of that, no, none of that. She went beyond. We built an add-on large kitchen with a tall ceiling, and then added on to that we built another where there is an open fire facility for cooking. And to this day, our food, every night we eat dinner as a family, probably about 9 or 10 around the table, which answers another comment which I'll deal with in a second. But so they're all women. It's not like I go in and I pick out the women and say, okay, woman, 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 you can eat, and all the men can't. It just happens that way. There'll be Beth and myself, Talik, Bibi, Lovely, and usually our 2 almost resident neighbours are Dat and Lorraine. And we also have DC, of course, as well. And then there's Nanai and Lena and Vek, who runs the house. Vek does everything. That's her job. She was going to have to take a job on Cebu, so she wouldn't see her family except maybe one weekend a month if she was very, very lucky. And she would work incredible hours, and we didn't want her to have to do that. So we asked her, would she like to work in Nanai's house as, really, I suppose, Nanai's housekeeper and companion. And she is a relative of Nanai. She's, I think, a niece. I think she's a niece, maybe once removed. I'm not quite sure how that would work. But anyway, and she has been there ever since. And so she's around the table as well. Now, Lena, someone said, Lena doesn't have a family. She's idle. Idle, where I come from, is a little bit of an insult. You know, you don't say if you call somebody idle, it means that they choose to be lazy, not to do anything. nothing could be further than the truth with Lena. Lena is a lovely lady. Out of everybody that I give a ride to in our truck, Lena is the one who never fails to say thank you, Terence. Never. She has never once in 8 years has never failed to thank me for doing something for her. She's an amazing lady. Her English is not good, unfortunately. What can we say? That's the fact of it. But certainly she's not idle, and she has a family. She has dinner with the family in exactly the same way as I do. She has more claim on the family than I do, and she's a lovely lady. So let me see that I'm actually in Taliban now, so I'm here to get my materials. I wouldn't sorry, I gotta focus on trying not to crash into a tricycle or run a couple of pedestrians down who seem to be as if they are going for a walk in the park. Now I got to get my materials now, and this is a funny thing. For those foreigners who will be coming out here and probably doing work, that's what foreigners do when they come out here. You have to go to a little tiny store. If you want materials, you go to a tiny store and you get in line and you order what you want, and then they give you a receipt, and then you go to their warehouse, which will be in the back of an area that is not an expensive piece of real estate, and you hand your receipt in and they load your truck in with whatever you've bought. And they all do that. All of the stores do that. Even if you go and you buy, say, 2 bags of rice, they'll send out to a little warehouse that they'll have, or a house, and they'll get the stuff and they'll bring it back, and you wait for a few minutes. Service is very good, and that's how you get what you need. So now I'm doing another circuit because there was nowhere to park. I could park where it says no parking, and nobody will do anything. They have traffic enforcers, and they don't give tickets. Amazing. They don't give tickets. What they do is they just come over and they say, could you put your hazard lights on, sir? Oh, certainly. And you won't be long, will you? No, absolutely not. I did get a parking ticket in Tagbilaran, and that was about, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. I tried to pay it at the LTO here, the transport office, and the woman took the ticket, handed her the ticket, so as if I thought, well, she'll know exactly what to do. And she looked at it, and she turned it over and looked at the back of it, and she read it, and then she handed it back to me and said, yes sir, what? So I said, well, it's a parking ticket. She said, yes, I saw that. I said, well, how can I pay it? And she said, I don't know, we don't give parking tickets in Taliban. She said, I suppose you'll have to take it. You'll have to take it to Tagbilaran and ask them there. Nobody's ever contacted me about it. It was on the Little Red. It's a long time ago. And I don't even have the ticket anymore. More fun in the Philippines. Well, I've done another. Oh, look at that. Can I get in there? No, I can't, because it's a parking space occupied by 3 motorcycles. Okay, well, let me see what the other choices are. But I'll end off now because I'm just waffling. Bye for now.